60 Minutes, Rewind.
On November 4th, 1979, 66 Americans were taken hostage by Iranian students who seized control of the U.S. Embassy in Iran. 2 weeks later, Mike Wallace interviewed Iran's spiritual leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini.
If there is some turmoil in Tehran, there was none apparent this morning in the holy city of Qom, 100 miles to the south. There, guarded by a lone soldier on a rooftop, is the modest compound of the Ayatollah Khomeini. This morning, in his reception room, the ground rules for the interview were carefully spelled out. No question could be asked unless it was approved ahead of time. No questions about Iran's internal politics. No questions about a lack of freedom under the Ayatollah. But there seemed no pattern to those questions that were disallowed. About half of those we proposed were simply forbidden. The interpreter said he would refuse even to ask the Ayatollah any questions that he, the interpreter, deemed inappropriate. To begin with, of course, we wanted to learn about the hostages held in the American Embassy compound.
Do you still say, Imam, that if the Shah, the ex-Shah, is not returned to Iran, that those American hostages in the American Embassy compound will not be freed?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the most merciful and gracious. This issue has to do with the people. The 35 million population of Iran want this, and we must investigate why the population wants the Shah returned. And unless he is returned, the hostages will not be freed.
Reading a prepared statement, the Ayatollah's interpreter told Wallace, the Shah has to return and tell us where his money is, and we have to know the extent of his treason against our people.
Reasons for the people's insistence for the Shah's return. One, that this is a nation with a poor economy, that the wealth of these people have been plundered by the Shah and his relatives, have been taken out of the country, are being deposited in various US and European banks, and these are the monies which indeed belong to the people, to these poor people.
Right.
And therefore, he has to come, he has to return and tell us where are these monies and why they are there. The second, which is even more important than the first reason, is that we want him back to show the extent of the crimes committed by this person during 37 years of his rule. We have to know the extent of his treasons in this country. This is why that he has to return and he has to be tried, and then the courts will decide.
But that is not an answer to whether the hostages will be freed.
I just gave an answer. The people will it, and we can't go against this will.
Then the hostages will remain there in the American Embassy compound, what, for life? Forever?
They will remain until the Shah is returned. It is in the hands of Carter. Carter can free them by returning the Shah.
Imam, President Carter accuses your government of practicing terrorism and says that your regime will be held accountable if those U.S. hostages are harmed.
The 35 million people of Iran are terrorists? Ask Carter. You interpret politics like this? You call our people terrorists? I have heard what Carter says of them, and it doesn't make sense. He says they are not students, they are bums, mobs, They are terrorists. You know these as terrorists? This is an insult to students and people across the nation. You consider our people terrorists? You understand them of politics? Is that we are a nation of terrorists? We are Muslims. This is an insult.
Imam, President Sadat of Egypt, a devoutly religious man, a Muslim, says that what you are doing now is, quote, a disgrace to Islam. And he calls you, Imam, forgive me, his words, not mine, a lunatic. I know that you have heard that comment. That's what I heard President Sadat say on American television.
Yes.
That the Imam is a disgrace to Islam,
Yes.
and he used the word a lunatic.
سادات ادعای اسلام می کند
Sadat states he is a Muslim,
دشمنهای اسلام
and we are not.
حمله می کند
He is not, for he compromises with the enemies of Islam.
می داند
Sadat has united with our enemies. Sadat knows well what is occurring south of Lebanon and with the Palestinians. He knows the crimes of Israel. Yet he still considers Begin a friend and himself a Muslim. You must try to evaluate what he is doing, then through Islam. The Egyptian people do not back Sadat.
The official interpreter then read again from a prepared text.
I demand that Egyptian people try to overthrow him just as we did with the Shah.
He calls upon the Egyptian people
He
to
does.
overthrow Sadat
He does.
the way the Iranian people overthrew the Shah.
Exactly.
What we hear, Imam, that today, perhaps today, some black hostages and some female hostages will be released from the American embassy compound. Is that true?
ما آزادی زنها را و آزادی سیاه‌ها را
The freedom of the women
این
and blacks will be given.
در اسلام یک احترام ویژه دارند
Women are given great dignity in Islam, and the blacks
آمریکا بودند
have been oppressed in the United States.
و اونها را ما
Great injustice was done unto them.
بلکه اونها را
They were under pressure
فشار بودند که
in the United States.
اینجا آمدند
Thus they came here.
لحاظا ما برای
We are doing this owing to the tenets of Islam.
اسلام و خدا این عمل را کردیم
In return,
ولی از آقای کارتر
we ask nothing
پاداشی نمی‌خواهیم.
for their freedom.
تمام مطلب ما این است که
We want
این
the
خیانت
Shah.
را به ما پس بدهد.
Carter must
شخص
return him.
مهمی که بر یک مملکتی به
The
این
world's
جور کرده،
international law
قوانین دنیا
agree with this principle.
باید
I ask you, as an American and a human being, talking to an Iranian and another human being, is there no room for compromise? Or is Iran now, in effect, at war with the United States?
I'm sorry, I can't ask that first question
Well, that-
because that one was crossed out. Hazrat Imam,
Imam, is Iran, in effect, at war with the United States now?
حضرت امام آیا جناب عالی یا به طور کلی ایران در حال حاضر با امریکا در حال جنگ هستیم؟
جنگ مقصود چی است؟ اگر مقصود این است که نظام
What do you mean
نظام
by
های
war?
آمریکا در
If
حال
you mean our armies
نیست.
against the United States
و
armies,
اگر جنگ اعصاب است،
no, there is no
خاطر
such war.
جنگ اعصاب دارد پیش می‌رود
If you mean
و ما
it is a battle of nerves,
همیشه
It is Carter's doing.
گریزان هستیم و ما
We are against war.
هستیم که مسلم هستیم.
We are Muslims.
را برای همه ملت‌ها آرزو داریم.
We desire peace
لکن
for all.
کارتر نمیگذارن سلم
Carter does not allow this.
بقای این سلم برای
Carter should
ما و برای ملت
put aside his so-called humanism
ملت‌های منطقه
and return
این است که آقای
the
کارتر
criminal Shah
انسان دوستیشون را یه قدری کنار بگیرن
so that we can conclude this matter.
را که تمام جنایت را مرتکب شده است
The Shah,
به ما بدن تا
is a
اینکه
criminal.
مسائل ما حل بشه.
we all know this.
این جاسوسیه که
This spy
جاسوسی
nest
را که در اینجا درست کردن
you call the US embassy
یک
then can be returned to a place of humanism.
نه دستگاه
and diplomacy.
برای یک ملت، نه دستگاه جاسوسی است برای
Carter
ملت.
must return the Shah.
مشکلی است که ما داریم و این
We have
مشکل
nothing
اگر حل
against
بشد،
the people of the United States.
و ما
But if the president says he refuses to return the Shah, and if the Imam says he will not free the hostages, then what can be the answer?
Well, I'm not sure if I can get the answer because this was not in the question.
Please ask him. I'm sure it's a very simple, straightforward question.
شما البته طبق معمول اجباری نیست جواب لطفا بفرمایید چون اینا تو اینا نیستش ولی این سوالی که میکنن تو اینها نیستش
نه سوال غیر این جواب.
He will not discuss
He's
that.
not even going to listen to it because it's
All
not
right.
in the here.
All right. If the Imam was so convinced that the U.S. Embassy was a spy center, why did he not close it down and break off relations with the United States? Why did he wait for this group of young Iranians to take it over?
ما هرگز احتمال نمیدادیم که یک سفارت
We didn't think an embassy
و
could be a center of spying.
ما اگر این احتمال را دادند و رفتند اون غیر از اون نیست که
I
من
didn't realize this until our students found the necessary evidence.
من احتمال نمیدادم که آقای کارتر و
I didn't realize Carter going against all international law tenets would allow this spying and conspiracy at the American embassy.
بعد از اینکه جوانهای ما
Now
و شاید اونها روی
that our students have done this,
که من
taken the embassy
روی چه احتمال رفتن
with the backing of all the people of Iran, we have now realized that the American embassy has been a center for spying.
Imam, would you permit me to go to the American embassy compound and talk to the hostages who are there?
Okay. Yes, you could.
I can go.
ندارد باید برند اونجا جوانها اونجا هستن
It does not matter.
ندارد پیشون
Allow him to go and observe.
ببیند اونها
Our young are there, and they will show him that the Americans are safe and healthy. There is no problem in going. They are under protection,
در این محلی هست
and nothing will occur to them.
حفاظت میشن و
Islam
مطمئن باشید
protects the prisoner,
حفاظت میشن و بعداً
and
آسیبی
Islam
نخواهد.
is humane.
اسلام اصلش با این امور با اسیر
We are Muslims.
انسانی میکنن
Our students are Muslim students.
و ما هم تابع اسلام هستیم و
They will protect the prisoners.
دانشجوهای اسلامی هستند و با آنها حتما بدانید که رفتار خوب میکنن
I have asked my son to observe and ensure their safety. He reported to me that they are all well. I personally wish and hope for their safety. The prisoners at the United States Embassy must ask Carter to allow the Shah to return, so they may again gain their freedom.
Despite that apparent promise, Mike Wallace was not allowed into the embassy.